What's up, guys? It's Wacko. Welcome to week 2 of NGC. This week we're up against RGP, who has a very scary team with Sun. And I will just say, when we were drafting, I was pretty sure that I would lose to this team. It did not present itself a very good matchup for me. There was just way too much for me to have to prep for. Um, Boros goes absolutely insane on my team with just a dual stab combo and Sun. Um, and not to mention that he also has Terra on his side to Tauros is honestly a very good Terra captain for him, and it, it's very scary. Although I will say, like, it is force offensive every week, so I mean, I guess if you don't have like the best offensive matchup, or like a good speed matchup into a lot of things, like I guess you could argue against me. Like, I have a lot of my good mons are faster than him. Um, However, it doesn't matter. Terra is insane. I don't even know what Terra type it would be. When I was prepping, I had zero idea what it would be. I thought maybe fire type, fire resist, Iron Valiant, Moonblast, or it resists Enamorous. Um, Fire's good into like Corv. It's already a fighting type, so like Roaring Moon wouldn't really matter too much. Um, I think Flare Blitz in the Sun with Terra Fire is just gonna kill Rotom Wash. And then it also kind of helps him against Fire Main, Pyroar in the Sun. Like, it doesn't take more than one hit from Pyroar, but it's better than not taking any hit from Pyroar, so I figured he probably would be like Terra Fire. Tauros. Iron Treads is pretty scary to me. Heavy Slam Oko's Enamorous if I am not, if I'm Fairy still. So I didn't really want to tear Fairy. And then he also, Treads is just a very good rocker into me. Even though it's his only hazard stacker, it's also a good removal option. But Nidoqueen doesn't want to stay on, and neither does Ogerpon, because Ogerpon can't Oko it with anything, really. And I will be keeping some tech hidden for our rematch, because this is definitely one of those matches where I'm like, I kind of need to keep as much hidden as possible, whether or not I win or lose. I think versus Aldo, I kind of showed like everything to him. But yeah. Anyways, Katarine was kind of scary because dual stab was just it hits very hard. I didn't think he'd bring Katarine particularly because it kind of loses him a lot of momentum, but it does get like Healing Wish, and like I. Excuse me, I guess you could run Trick Room if you want, like, Walking, or if you want a Raging Bolt to, like, win, because Raging Bolt would then outspeed, like, my entire team. And I don't really have too much for Raging Bolt, especially because Nidoqueen under Trick Room is also losing the hat, so, like, it's hard to justify bringing Nidoqueen sometimes. It's hard to switch in, like, both of my fairies against Raging Bolt as well. Raging Bolt itself is very scary because Thunderclap just kind of destroys like a lot of my team structure. Iron Valiant is just not liking Sun with Thunderclap, as well as like Enamorous doesn't really want to eat a Thunderclap. Pre-Terra and like having to Terrasilize is like somewhat of a decision for me in this matchup. Walking Wake was definitely one of the scarier threats on this team as well. Either he could run like Scarf with the Sun to make sure that he outspeeds my entire team, or he could run like Specs and just spam Hydro Steam, because in theory I don't really have a Hydro Steam switch in, like not Raging Bolt. Roaring Moon doesn't really want to switch in on it. Corviknight doesn't want to come in against a Sun team. My Grass type is part Rock, and then like other than that, like I have other Fire abusers, so it was kind of rough. It's either that or like speed boosting Life Orb is also just very scary against me. CROBAT, I was not initially super worried about because typically CROBAT just kind of clicks U-turn. I thought maybe like a Heat Wave Brave Bird U-turn set would be annoying with like Roost. Because offensive CROBAT actually kind of works into me, and it actually walls Iron Valiant like not really particularly terribly. Um, and then it of course kills the Iron Valiant with either of its stabs. Something I probably should have considered a little bit more in prep was the CROBAT. And you'll see why. Ninetales just kind of there to get up the Sun, although I considered ways I could definitely abuse his Sun with either Roaring Moon or Pyroar. Again, there's some stuff that I'd like to keep hidden, because I had this was one of those matchups where it was like, it was really bad, but at the same time, I had a lot of options going into him. Like, I had an overwhelming amount of options versus RGP. Like, all of my mons, I considered everything except for Vulpix, I will say, and I don't mind sharing that because, of course, I'll be talking about the mons that I will be bringing, and then why I didn't bring what I didn't bring. For example, Mega Venusaur is always an interesting mon because you basically just can't beat it unless you have flying coverage or psychic coverage. And on my team, my flying type does not want to eat sun boosted hits. Mega Venusaur could definitely just run like Fire Weather Ball if you wanted to. So I had to consider that in prep. Blacephalon, Sun Mind Blown, like Specs Mind Blown just OHKOs like everything on my team. If he really wanted to bring it, he could easily just claim like 2 kills like every time he comes in. I think Roaring Moon is like my best chance at eating a hit from it, basically. Obstagoon, I didn't think he'd bring Obstagoon, but if he was to bring Obstagoon, it could have been pretty scary because I don't think Corv has the best matchup in this game, and if he gets in on like Nidoqueen, then I kind of have to pick a sack because like Facade Knockoff just kind of destroys me, or even like a close combat. I guess he does have to like think about what moves he'd want to click, but I don't think it's like that hard for him to like pick what to do. And last and certainly the least of his team, Furfrou. I didn't even look at them on in prep, but yeah. So what did I bring? I'm bringing an Amorous Therian with Terra Psychic Assault Vest. Now, again, his Dark type is Obstagoon. I didn't think would be coming because his top 9 is just very strong enemy. And like he does have to bring Ninetales if he wants the best chance against me with like most of his mons, because he kind of needs that Sun up, or else like he would have to run Scarf Wake without like boosting damage to outspeed Roaring Moon. I think Roaring Moon is one of the mons that he should be scared of on his team. Even though Roaring Moon also gets buffed from the Sun, I kind of think he still has to bring Ninetales regardless, and he kind of has a way around Roaring Moon. Intimidate Tauros, again, is like one of those things where like Roaring Moon really isn't beating it. Even if he gets off an Intimidate on like a sack, he could also just then bring in like Venusaur, because -1 Roaring Moon is not really beating Mega Venusaur. But I ran Terra Psychic on my Enamorous with Moonblast, Draining Kiss, Earth Power, and Psychic. I ran Psychic mostly for the Venusaur, but also Terra Psychic didn't match up super badly into like anything. Even though the Psychic has kind of a poor defensive typing at times, like it didn't really look that bad into everything. Like it might as well be like, hey, I'm not weak to Heavy Slam. And at the same time, I'm not weak to Sludge Bomb, I'm not weak to Thunderclap, I'm not weak to any of Walking Wake's coverage, unless he's like Knockoff, which, if he's Knockoff Snarl, like, so be it. Like, it's not really going to be a big deal for Enam to tank those. So, yeah. I was considering Terra Flying, but I got really scared of Raging Bolt, like, last second. And I actually changed, like, quite a bit of my prep, like, last second. So we have that. Iron Valiant's gonna be my next mon. I'm bringing that off the bench. It looked like I had a good matchup with Moonblast, Aura Sphere, Psychic, Vacuum Wave with Life Orb. He didn't really have a good switch-in into it, but I probably should have considered Scarf, and I think Corrupt told me to run Scarf versus RGP, but I was like, nah, I don't need Scarf, and CROBAT isn't fucking scary. Anyways, that is my Val set. Roaring Moon, I went through a lot of different things with him, but I actually ended up on a booster speed set. However, I'm actually running Choice Band. I was considering running Booster Energy, but I didn't really want to deal with, like, is Sun gonna be up turn 1? Like, how well am I gonna be able to position Moon in if I'm Booster Energy? So I opted to actually go with Choice Band with Outrage, because Outrage kind of deletes a lot of mons, and I wouldn't have to worry about my item getting used. I can't run Flying Gem, so I can't just, like, Flying Gem Acrobatics to the Venusaur, and, like, most of my prep was around, like, if I'm gonna lock into a move with this guy, like, I want to at least beat Venusaur with it. So I opted to just bring the, Roaring Moon with, Choice Band, and I'm running Outrage, Dragon Claw, U-Turn, and Knockoff, I think? I actually don't fucking remember, because the only move, spoiler alert, the only move I click in this battle is Outrage with Roaring Moon. I opted to not bring Corviknight because Sun is just not a good matchup for it. Like, I don't want to deal with Walking Wake, I don't want to deal with Venusaur with, like, Sun Weather Ball, I don't want to deal with Tauros, I don't want to deal with Blacephalon. Basically, the only thing that Corv would be good for is, like, Crobat, I guess, but Corv is just a big sitting duck against, like, everything else there. Other than, like, Crobat treads Hatterene in a sense, and I didn't really want to bring something that would lose me a ton of momentum. So Corviknight will not be coming. Ogerpon will be coming off the bench, though. I actually think that Rock Grass is a really good matchup into this team. There isn't really a good Rock switch-in other than Treads, and Treads doesn't really like the Grass Stab as well as Low Kick. So I figured I could kind of scare him out, but I think positioning in Ogerpon is, like, the bigger issue. I'd have to kind of figure out how I'd want to position it in, but once the Ogerpon is in, I think Ivy Cudgel's, like, a pretty free click. My next mon's gonna be Nidoqueen. This was one of the mons where I was, like, really on the fence with bringing or not bringing. I was considering Rotom Wash. I was actually considering Bruxish for a little bit. I was considering Mega Pyroar in its slot. The reason I brought Nidoqueen, though, is because Nidoqueen, at least on a switch-in, if he wants to go hard Walking Wake for whatever reason, at least I'll be hitting it a lot harder than Pyroar will be. Because even though, like, Fire Main is broken, Walking Wake quadruple resist Fire, which is super obnoxious for my team, and I kind of figured Nidoqueen is just better at, like, I can get up rocks if I need to. It doesn't really allow Hatterene to come in. It can kind of deal with, like, Crobat, but for the most part, the reason I brought Nidoqueen is for Raging Bolt. Even though I'm, like, a physically defensive set and I'm running Rocky Helmet, I just did not want Thunderclap, like, destroying my team. So, Nidoqueen it is. And as I've said, I'm not bringing Rotom Wash. The problem with Rotom Wash was mostly Mega Venusaur, but I do have a tech. I feel like I have a way around Mega Venusaur with Rotom Wash, and it's not just Full Switch. However, I feel like RGP will probably watch this video, and he'll probably look at Rotom Wash and figure out what I'm trying to do with it, but you know what, it's for a later day when I rematch him in playoffs and lose playoffs, and not get the first Mega Pyroar chip. Anyways, Mega Pyroar is not coming again because Walking Wake. Bruxish almost came. I almost ran, like, a Rocky Helmet set for Tauros, but then I was like, wait, I'd be slotting Bruxish over Nidoqueen, and I didn't really want to do that. even though I thought Psychic Fangs looked really good into this team, and um, having Helmet for like Crobat, Tauros, Treads looked really good, I just couldn't really slot Bruxish over Uxie, my last mon. But I'm actually running Assault Vest on again. So I have 2 Psychic types with Assault Vest, which I might have been a bad idea in hindsight, but to be honest, I was just really scared of Walking Wake and Raging Bolt. Those are like the 2 mons on prep. I was like, oh my god, how the fuck do I deal with these things? And my solution was Uxie. So I actually opted to bring AV Uxie with Psychic Noise, Knockoff U-Turn, and Draining Kiss, and then like Max Spadef. So with that said, this is the game. He opts to bring the Tauros, and again, there's no Terra preview, so I don't know what Terra the Tauros is until he brings it in and Terrasilize it. He brought Ninetales in his like first real slot. Again, I actually thought maybe he wouldn't bring Ninetales, because I considered the fact that he'd be scared of Pyroar and Roaring Moon just kind of like destroying him, but I think Ninetales just kind of means like, hey, that means my Walking Wake and my Raging Bolt are actually going to be like threatening. Because I think without Sun, I don't think his offensive mons are that threatening, and I think Tauros can handle Roaring Moon as long as it has like Intimidate. And then like a good Terror type into it. So either like Fighting or Fairy, something like that. I thought that's what the Terror type would be for the Tauros. And then he brought Crobat, which I guess I was expecting. And then Treads, which I was kind of sad to see because I was really hoping he wouldn't bring Treads because I did not bring removal on my team. So anyways, and I've already talked about my team, so let's get started. So I'm going to lead with Roaring Moon because it's faster than most of his team, and if you want to lead Ninetales, then I could just click Outrage with booster speed and be pretty much unpunished because he did not bring Hatterene. But he actually has a good lead into me. I'm going to switch into my Nidoqueen as he U-turns for 10%. Now, I probably should have been calking because this 10% told me exactly what this Crobat is, and I just didn't even notice. Like, I didn't even pay any attention to that at all. This is why you should be always calking. Even, I mean, like, at least in draft, I think people should be calking, like, any damage that you take to see, like, oh, is this an offensive Crobat or is this, like, defensive Crobat? Like, you never know because it's draft format and, like, it's draft format for a reason. Like, anything could happen. So he does get up his Rocks here, which really sucks for me because now an Amorous Therian is just going to, like, take 25% when it switches in, and I can't do anything about it because I've got no removal. So the only way that he's going to get rid of Rocks is if I get my own Rocks and he defogs with Crobat, or if I didn't allow him to get up Rocks. So he's going to Brave Bird, which kills me. Thankfully for me, it helped me figure out what this Crobat was, and I unfortunately have come to the realization a little too late that this is fucking Choice Band Crobat, Choice Band Brave Bird, and look at my switch-ins. I got absolutely nothing for Crobat. So I'm already in a big disadvantage state. He's gonna bring in his Raging Bolt on my Psychic Noise. Heal Block is gonna be kind of nice for me. I'm gonna get rid of his Habanberry. Habanberry is a good prep for the Roaring Moon for sure, because Roaring Moon isn't gonna give a shit about a Thunderclap no matter how many Calm Minds he gets up, to be honest, and Habanberry will be able to tank my Outrage or my Dragon Claw. So he's gonna Calm Mind. I'm gonna Draining Kiss just to scout how much damage I can do. As he Draco Meteors, I get some decent chip off there, and for some reason I U-turn, but I fucking misclicked AF. I did not mean to go Iron Valiant there. I don't even know what happened. I think my computer lagged for like a second, but yeah, I get put in a pretty tough position there, and I'm gonna switch out of Iron Valiant. To be honest, I probably at this point should have just stayed in and clicked like Aura Sphere or something like that, but I did not want to lose my Val just yet because Val outspeeds a lot of stuff. And now Yuxi is pretty much dead, except it's not because he's actually eject button, which is fun. And I get to see that he's booster speed wake, and I get to see that he's life orb. So I actually get to see everything that I'm scared of, and I am going to be able to outspeed him. However, I'm gonna outrage, kill the Raging Bolt. However, I wasn't keeping track of Sun turns because in my mind I was like, oh, this Ninetales like just came out. However, that's just not really what happens. So like as you can see, this is turn 8. He volt switches into Ninetales. I switch in my Yuxi. He clicks Flamethrower twice, and then he Hydro Steams me to kill me. And now this way there's only one turn of Sun left because I know this thing is eject button. So I kind of fucked up there. In all honesty, I think I should have just clicked Dragon Claw, because now at this point he can just go into CROBAT and kill me. I should have just clicked Dragon Claw. I don't know why I didn't just click Dragon Claw or like U-turn there, but that definitely like lost me a lot of momentum, because if I had just clicked Dragon Claw or U-turn, if he had gone back into Ninetales, I could have easily clicked Outrage into the rest of this team and then like done something else with Moon, and not allowed CROBAT to do all the damage it ended up doing. So yeah, he is gonna end up losing a bunch of health, which is nice to see. However, he's gonna bring in his Ninetales here, and I'm gonna Terra Psychic, and I'm going to Draining Kiss. However, he will get off a Flamethrower, which is enough chip, and he's going to actually click Healing Wish. And he's gonna bring in that CROBAT, and it's gonna get all healthy, and I just lose, because there's nothing on my team that outspeeds him. Ogerpon has like a chance to maybe live a Brave Bird, but no, I die. And it's because these rocks are up. If the rocks weren't up, I would have been completely fine, but again, I just kind of... I got outplayed. I got outplayed, I got outprepped. He prepped very well into me. He had Healing Wish, Ninetales. Potentially like a Healing Wish Hatterene could have been scary for me too, because that just means more Brave Bird spam, and yeah, CROBAT ends up taking the cake there. I didn't even get to see what his Tauros did, but I will say the game was a lot closer than I think I let on, because the CROBAT was almost dead. Again, like, Healing Wish is a fair move and all, but like, this CROBAT basically died almost twice before I was able to lose, so I think I did pretty well. And yes, I could have played a lot better. I think the main turning point was like this turn. It was the turn where I clicked Outrage, because why on earth did I click Outrage there and not just click Dragon Claw? I have no fucking idea. I have no idea why I didn't just click Dragon Claw. Because I think Dragon Claw could have saved me. Roaring Moon would have lasted a bit longer. I probably would have just sacked Valiant. And then I could have just went Enam, and I think Enam would have lived the Brave Bird, I think. But even if it didn't live Brave Bird, I'm pretty sure CROBAT would have forced to kill itself. It would have been forced to kill itself, basically. And then I would have had an Ogerpon and a Roaring Moon, and he wouldn't have been able to Healing Wish with Ninetales. So I think I just played pretty poorly there. In this position, he could have just... Well, no, I think he did need a Flamethrower, to be honest. But at this point, I do just lose to CROBAT. As soon as he clicked Healing Wish, I even said in chat, GG's. That was it. So, in hindsight, I'm glad I rewatched this game, because I know I could have won. I could have won with the prep I had, I think. It really depends on what this Tauros is. To be honest, with not knowing what the Tauros is like a very low chance for me to win because I don't know what the Tauros is. But knowing I have Roaring Moon and Ogerpon in the back, I could have had either of them in the back. I would have sacked Enamorus to this Brave Bird. Also, after sacking Val, which had like almost 50% left. So the Crobat would have been forced to take a lot of chip, and I know this Crobat isn't heavily invested in HP, but but this Enam is. But I'm pretty sure Ivy Cudgel is just really hard for him to switch into, and if I crit the Tauros, that's even better for me, considering the fact that he's probably Intimidate, and I have SD as well, because I don't think I could get I don't think I could get off an SD. I probably would have been able to SD on the Ninetales probably, but then Walking Wake just comes in. I honestly, maybe this game wasn't winnable, but I think it was close. It really does depend on what the Tauros is though, because with the Walking Wake, it just depended if Sun was up, but I think I needed Sun up for Roaring Moon. Actually, no, Sun being up was actually a bad thing, because he would have been booster speed, and I have Choice Band regardless, and I'm not booster attack on Moon. So actually, if there was no Sun at that point, I think I would have won with Moon. Well, it would have been either Moon or Ogerpon. It wouldn't have mattered, because either I lock an Outrage, and then I don't kill Tauros, and then I kill Tauros with the Ivy Cudgel probably. Most likely, I think I would kill Tauros with Ivy Cudgel. That's all I can really say. If he's like Terra Fairy Tauros, then like I guess I'd probably lose because close combat is gonna like destroy me. But yeah, he played that very well. It would have been a lot closer at least. I won't say that I would have automatically won, but I am realizing that it was a lot closer than I led on to it being. But I do have a bunch of I have a bunch of stuff in hindsight that I could definitely do for playoffs. I could probably change something about all of my Pokemon except for probably the Ogerpon. Which is funny because Ogerpon is like the only mon that didn't do anything in this game. But I still think the Ogerpon had a good matchup. So assuming that I bring like the same similar team, I think there's something I could do differently with everybody. Maybe I could have opted to not bring Iron Valiant, but I like the speed tier that Val has and like the fairy typing, but I guess I didn't realize that Crobat was just such a problem for me that I probably should have just ran like Scarf on it. But I mean, if I ran Scarf, then if he brought Venusaur, it would have been fucking over for me either way. So like, it's a tough game. It's just a really bad matchup because either way that I prep, if I was Scarf Val, I could have done damage to Crobat. I think like Val and Crobat basically 1v1 each other because Psychic isn't killing, but then Brave Bird would be enough. Like Brave Bird Recoil would probably kill it. So I'd be trading Val for Crobat, basically. But if I'm Scarf, like, it's not breaking through Venusaur at all. So, like, either way I prep, like, it's just kind of rough no matter what. And I didn't want to lead Val because I had no idea if the Treads was going to be Scarf Heavy Slam, if it was going to be Choppleberry, if it was going to be Sash. This Treads could have been friggin' anything. It could have been Booster Speed for all I know too. I didn't think it would be Booster Speed. I think Scarf is like better on Treads, but yeah. So GG's to RGP. I don't have like any fucking I don't think there's anything you could have done better. I think you prepped phenomenally well. Choice Band Crobat absolutely clocked me. And I will admit, I've been looking at trades the last like 3 hours because I was like, I don't want this shit to happen again. Like, I don't want to I don't want to lose to a mon with like base 90 attack. I mean, yeah, its speed tier is nice, but it was definitely jolly. It was definitely a jolly Crobat. Otherwise, Roaring Moon would have outsped it. Um, like Jolly Choice Band Brave Bird, I just had no switch into it. So I was looking at trades as like, how can I like prevent myself from losing, but also like, how can I prevent myself from just like losing because weather is annoying and weather is like part of like why this matchup was hard, because the Ninetales itself was like not really a problem for me. I guess it could have been a problem, but I didn't really see it that way, I guess. But it's that, or like, how could I position myself to win? And that's something I'll have to consider for my next matchup, because I bet you I'll probably be facing RGP in playoffs. But yeah, I got a taste for some of the good coaches in NGC, and I've been watching some of these games, and I'll just say as well, I think there is a lot of good coaches. Not that I think they drafted well, I just don't think they gave a shit about draft. But you can draft terribly, but as long as you're a good player, you could win. And I think the problem for me is I need a good team to win. But some of these people don't need good teams to win. They could have 5 dragon types and just win. And that's what we're seeing, unfortunately. So yeah, RGP though, I think definitely had the most confident draft out of anyone in the league. And after prepping for it, I think Tauros is probably the best Terra Captain that was drafted. At least on the context of the team it was on. Just having like Sun boosted Flare Blitz or like Raging Bull. I was considering screens, but I was like, man, he's just gonna make fucking Raging Bull on a Tauros and break through my screens. But I guess I should have maybe not been so scared of it. Something to consider though, like, I have a lot of options, basically. And that's what I've been saying for like the last 15 minutes, but yeah. Anyways, this video will probably end up going up like tomorrow because I should be getting ready for bed and I should not be staying up much longer. I will see you guys later. Thanks for watching.